This is your dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. Starting from humble beginnings, Nick has been beating the markets for over 2 decades. He shares with you his take on the profitable trades that will have you moving towards financial freedom in no time at all. To see an in-depth review of his track record and much more, go to inthemoneystocks.com. Welcome. This is your daily dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is July 31st, last day of the month, 2020, and this is show number 88. So what's happening in the markets today, Nick?
Well, today we have a bit of a down day. Really, we had a gap higher open with the earnings from Apple, Google, Facebook, and Amazon, but that really has retreated. Markets have come down, and we've had a bit of a sell-off. Now, the volume is light, so we'll see where we finish today by the close, but I have to say we got pretty good selling, and this entire week has been a week of just a lot of whipsaw. Really, we've gone nowhere, but nonetheless, that's what you get when you're up on Mondays.
Yeah. So the market gapped up. I mean, the earnings that Apple and Google put forth were pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, all the earnings from Apple, Amazon, and Facebook were good. Google actually, the earnings weren't as good, and that stock's getting hit today. It's down 5%. It's an 81-point decline for Google, but, it is a $1,450 stock. So, that stock's under some pressure, and it's actually cracking below its 50-day moving average. So that should be noted. There is a lot of support for Google around the 1440 area. So we'll see if that can stabilize there. But pretty good sell-off in that name. Apple, on the other hand, announced a 4-to-1 split. So that stock will be splitting at the end of August. And usually you're going to see the stock hold up pretty well into the split. So that's riding high right now at around 410. And then Amazon up about 3.75%. That's a 115-point gain. And then you have Facebook today up 7.5%, $17 gain there. So very, very strong in those 3 out of 4 stocks. But overall, the Nasdaq today is slumping, and we definitely want to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, so the Nasdaq slumping, but on lower volume, and it is a summer Friday. So what to make of it?
Yeah, so you just got to pay attention now. The month of August is always a tricky month. Sometimes we call it the summer doldrums. I don't think we're going to get the summer doldrums this year. I just think there's too much going on geopolitically. You got these elections. You got a lot going on with China. There's a lot of potential thunderstorms overhead. And again, I think you got to be a little bit on the guarded side, but the trend is still up. That's a positive for markets. But, going into August and September, you definitely have to be on your toes.
Yeah. And what in particular should you be looking at?
Well, I always tell everybody that you want to watch the semiconductors. Semiconductors, every trader knows, is probably the most important industry group for technology. So if the semiconductors start to break down, then you have to worry. Right now, they're not even close to breaking down. They're very strong. Recently made new highs. Today they're under a little pressure, but they're down 1.5%. That's not a big deal. But keep your eyes on the semiconductors. If the semiconductors come under pressure, that's a big no-no for the markets. If the semiconductors hold up, that's generally a good sign for the markets, especially the tech-heavy Nasdaq.
All right. And so we look at our gold and silver prices today. Gold up again to record highs.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just been the trade that just doesn't stop. I mean, they're overbought, they're extended, but gold today is making a new all-time high. In fact, it pierced on the futures. It pierced over 2,000, got to 2005. Now it's sitting at 1990. Let me just make sure that, 1988. So it definitely has pulled in, but it's still up 21 points today. And very, very strong move there. Then you have silver futures. They're very strong as well right now. It looks like they're trading up by nearly 4% to $24.29 right now. So on the futures, so that's a big time move. And again, I do believe they're overbought, but if they just can go sideways, they're setting up for another leg higher. Right now, they're too overbought for me, obviously.
Right. So we're just going to have to watch them for the entry point again.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. And, again, at some point they will pull back. They haven't done it. It's been a little bit frustrating for me because I've been wanting to get in there. I just missed this last move, but I've caught other moves on the way up. But this has been really quite amazing to see.
Yeah, and the stocks are doing really well today as well.
Yeah, today you have the GDX, which is the gold miners ETF, up by nearly 3%. So yesterday that got hit pretty hard. Today, though, it is rebounding right back up. It's still long in the tooth on the bigger time frames as far as pattern goes. It's still somewhat parabolic, so I'd like to see them do some backing and filling, some consolidation that ultimately would lead to another leg higher. But it has to do that first in order for me to get involved.
Yeah, I can see that. We see McDonald's pulled back.
Yeah, all the restaurant stocks pulled back. In fact, I was in a day trade today in Shake Shack, and I took a little bit of a loss in that one, but unfortunately, they're all pulling back today. McDonald's down 3, Shake Shack down 7 and change. You even have Chipotle Grill down about $8. Darden is down $1.21. Yum Brands down $1.27. So really, all of the leading restaurant names that I trade and follow, they're down a little bit today. And again, the market's lower as well, so that doesn't help things.
Do you think they're setting up for another entry, the restaurants?
I do think they will set up. I just don't think they're there yet. They've had really, really good runs. A stock like Shake Shack, that's getting hit really hard today. That's down right now about 13%. So that one, we'd wait about 3 to 5 days. We'd let the dust settle. Then I'd look at the pattern. McDonald's just recently reported earnings. It's been pulling back over the last few days. So that's when I'd get interested, probably around the low 180s, 182, 183, somewhere down there. Then you have Starbucks, which reported earnings, I think, yesterday or the day before. That's pulling back a little bit. That's one I'd wait for more of a pattern to shape out. That doesn't give me a clear read. So, they're all a little bit different. They don't always trade together like birds of a feather, but you definitely, got to look at these individual names and see how they shape out. But McDonald's still probably one of my favorites.
All right. So evidently they're working on a new stimulus round, which looks like it could be quite substantial. I heard rumors they're going to forgive all of the PPP loans up to $150,000, and looks like we might have PPP Part 2.
Yeah, I think you got to, I understand it. You got to help out a lot of these small businesses, but these businesses can't be helped out if they're going to get shut down again. So I think, what they need to put in is a provision saying, hey, we're going to do this, but we're not shutting down anymore, and just make it cut and dry. If we do this, there's no more shutdowns. Because you're seeing, a lot of businesses being forced to shut down again, and then we'll never reopen. So, again, I know it's political. I know there's a lot of agendas out here going into an election, but that should be in there, in my opinion. Say, hey, there's no more closing down. Whether what happens, good or bad, we got to stay open here and let's work through this.
Yeah, and we see all the doctors who were proponents of hydroxychloroquine. They've been banned from social media. One of them even got fired recently from her job. And whatever happened to free debate? And where's the science coming down on this?
Yeah, it's really disgraceful what's going on there. I've been following this. I actually watched that press conference by the doctors as it was going on. And it's really, really sad to see that, we cannot have a legitimate debate. It looks like Fauci's rule is law. And just the other day, Ohio banned the use of hydroxychloroquine, and that lasted about 1 day. So I think people are starting to wake up a little bit. I think people are starting to say, hey, I don't know if I'm buying into all of this stuff. If we have something like hydroxychloroquine or other things that can work as for a preventive measure or even help when you do catch the virus, why aren't we really putting that to use? Other countries actually have hydroxychloroquine over the counter where you can purchase it. So, it's kind of sad to see that we're in this state of affairs right now. But people just need to do their own research, get educated on this stuff. And, I wish I believe her name was Dr. Gold, who lost her job. I think she's going to be fine. She's a doctor and a lawyer. She's very, very bright and intelligent. But I wish her the best. And, again, it's really sad to see this.
Yeah, it certainly is set to see it. And this is the last trading day of the month, and that's a significant day, isn't it?
Always. The last day of the month, sometimes we have what we call window dressing. Sometimes we have what we call window undressing. And, it's not a quarterly end, but it is end of the month, so somewhat important. And, today we're seeing the markets come under, some pretty good distribution. The Nasdaq is still positive, but remember, it's fallen quite a bit from its highs today. So not a great market day. And I think going into the month of August, while the trend is up, I still remain somewhat bullish. We have to really be on our toes. August could be a very cautious month.
Yeah, we could see whipsaws. We could see some kind of major move down, then a major move up, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've been seeing really since the June 8th pivot. And I know I've been saying that a lot, saying, hey, we went up into June 8th. We had that big sell-off on June 11th. And then we've really chopped around, and we're at the high end of the range. So we're not far from breaking out. But with that being said, we're only at the high end of the range. We have not broken out. And I think that warrants caution, because if the leadership gets thin again, which it has been doing, that's a problem. If the leadership can expand and broaden, that's a positive sign. So, you want to watch these other sectors, these other industry groups, and we'll let them talk to us. But it's definitely been a much, much more difficult market over the last 30 days.
Yeah, I can see that, and especially with all the noise coming from the media, which doesn't really understand financial markets anyway.
No, they never have, and I don't think they ever will, right? They really just kind of report the news to you. They have to say something, so it's all about the news. But for us, it's about the chart. So, I'm going to the chart, and when the stock hits a good level, and I think it's a play, and we have the odds in our favor, we take the trade. Doesn't mean we'll make money every time out, but it's a favorable trade, and that's what we want to do as traders. And when there's no favorable trades, you just sit on your hands. It's the hardest thing in the world to do, because a lot of traders are gamblers, but you have to just do that and wait for the setups on the charts. And they reveal themselves to you, and that's when you make money. But again, this is a time where we've been very, very turbulent, and you just have to really go through these charts and let these markets tell you what to do.
Yeah, and I think we will leave it at that. Pretty much said everything that needs to be said about the market today, Nick. And so go over, take a look at Nick's site, inthemoneystocks.com, Twitter feeds at ITMS, at Nick Santiago 01, and at Kerry Lutz. Questions, comments, we'd love to hear from you. Email address kl@kerrylutz.com. And Nick, have a great weekend, and let's see what happens on Monday.
Yes, you do the same, Kerry. Have a great weekend.
And so concludes another episode of Daily Market Wisdom with Master Trader Nick Santiago. Be sure to go to his website, inthemoneystocks.com. Don't forget the Twitter feeds at ITMS and at Nick Santiago 01.